The dating world can be full of people who ghost you, string you along in relationships, make you even question yourself and whether or not you're good enough. So the moment that somebody comes along and starts to shower you with tremendous amounts of love, affection, and attention, it can feel like you've met your dream person. Maybe this person wants to see you all the time.
You complete me. And I just had.
Shut up. Just shut up. You had me at hello.
Constantly makes plans and initiates things, and gives you constant compliments, as if you're the only person for them, making you feel extremely special. And while it can be really beautiful to be showered with affection and attention if it's the right person, there can be a darker side to what is known as love bombing. And you'll know that you're being love bombed because what starts off as this tremendous amount of connection and effort can quickly turn into the rug being pulled out from underneath you. Feeling like you go from being almost overwhelmed by somebody's love and affection to this love and affection being completely taken away. But why does this happen?
It's a pity you don't have as much charm as you have persistence.
But I have. You've only seen the aggressive side of me.
You see, love bombing is most often referenced when referring to narcissistic personality disordered individuals who are actually leveraging their ability to deeply understand you and what you are yearning for in relationships as a strategy for manipulation. Narcissists are often excellent at discovering exactly what it is that you've been yearning for your whole life, whether it is to be deeply valued, to be made a priority, to be seen and heard, prioritized, protected, and then becoming a chameleon themselves in a way that feeds into these profound feelings. In turn, the narcissist knows that they can get you addicted to them in a sense. And once they know that they have you hooked, this unfortunately becomes followed by a phase of what's known as devaluation. Now, sometimes love bombing doesn't just happen with narcissists. This can also be something that people do when they are super interested in you and put you on a massive pedestal. Most commonly, this happens with anxious attachment styles. And in this case, love bombing may actually also be followed by a phase of devaluation, not necessarily because this person is in any way trying to manipulate you, but instead because the further you put somebody up on a pedestal, the farther the fall from grace. The moment that that expectation of this perfect person you are on the pedestal doesn't meet reality. So whether love bombing is intentional in the case of a narcissist or just a big fall from grace in the case where somebody is put on a massive pedestal, there can be some really challenging parts to being love bombed. And unfortunately, the more somebody is put on a pedestal, the higher the expectations will come with this hope that somebody is perfect or at least very close to perfection. So, while love bombing may be really nice at the beginning, it can also be a bit of a red flag that should be approached with caution and awareness.
I remember you, and I'll admit I was a little curt that night.
Kurt?
So these three very things will actually save you from ending up in a relationship where you may be love bombed and in turn lose your personal power and at worst even be manipulated. We'll go through these three things together and then we'll talk about what a secure relationship looks like when there's no love bombing involved and what secure dating should ideally look like as a whole. So the first thing you really want to check in with when you're thinking you may be love bombed is number one, is this person able to see the real me, or are they just projecting their expectations onto me of what they're hoping I am or hoping I will become? Because if somebody puts you on a giant pedestal, unfortunately, one of the challenging factors in regards to this is that the moment somebody's on a pedestal, a lot of times you're not being truly seen for who you are. It's like they can't see you without the rose-colored glasses on. And in turn, they may be really filtering out any potential flaws you have. But there inevitably will come a time where we take the rose-colored glasses off, which generally happens in the power struggle stage of relationships. And if you've been put on this massive pedestal, by the time the power struggle stage comes along, which is often about a year into the relationship, up to 2 years, generally what happens next is there's all of this resentment and frustration because this person realizes all these expectations they put on you and all these labels of how perfect and fantastic and amazing you are don't necessarily match up to reality. And it's not to say that you're not an amazing person, but it's that when somebody is love bombing you and putting you on a huge pedestal, they literally can't see flaws and thus have very limited room to actually accept a person's flaws. On top of that, they may not actually be getting to know you. They may be more attached to the potential of you in the future, or even this image of you they've created in their own fantasy world, which of course can make you feel disconnected. So you want to check in. Are they projecting onto me? Or are they actually able to see me? And a really great way of checking in here is to take this a step further by saying to this person, hey, I notice you see me in this kind of way, fill in the blanks. But actually, I feel a more accurate representation of myself is that I'm more like this, fill in the blanks. And what you're trying to do there is say something like, hey, I know you see me as this really confident person, but actually sometimes I have my own insecurities too. And by doing this, you are helping them take a reality check. And then it's your job to vet to see, does this person actually let that information land? Or do they kind of filter it out and not really pay it much attention and go back to connecting with me more in the fantasy realm than in actual reality? A second really great point to check in with is, can this person work through things with you in communication? Now, the reason this is a really meaningful thing to check in with is because narcissistic personality disordered people, and this is what you're really trying to vet out for here in point number 2, they tend to not be able to work through things in communication. So let's say you are in some sort of subtle argument or disagreement around something. Is this person able to admit their fault? And are they able to really empathize with your perspective? In point number 1, we really have a more anxious leaning love bomber, somebody who projects onto you and kind of connects with you more in the fantasy realm than in reality. But in point number 2, we're really trying to check in to see, is this person maybe love bombing from a place of narcissism? Because narcissists will not admit fault, and narcissists have an extremely difficult time empathizing with somebody when they have a difference in opinion or perspective from them. So this is a really important road stop to take. You want to be able to actually check in here and find out if we have differences, is this somebody who is ready to work through differences and being respectful and mindful of our differences? Or is it somebody who's not able to accept or respect differences at all? Perhaps they always have to be the one who is right, and perhaps they're unwilling to take accountability for their part or even really empathize with you if you have a difference of opinion from them. And number 3, does this person respect your boundaries? This can be something that actually happens when somebody is love bombing from a place of just connecting to you in the fantasy world. Or this can be something that takes place from the perspective of somebody being a narcissist, but you're going to see your boundaries handled in 2 different ways. If somebody's more anxious leaning, so anxiously attached or fearful avoidant with a strong anxious side, they may accidentally override your boundaries. But the moment you tell them, hey, I have a boundary here and it's really important to me that you respect it and I think you missed it, they tend to really backtrack and be willing to adapt. They tend to want to make sure that the person that they're with feels seen and heard and tends to care about their perspective. So while the fantasy world may override reality sometimes, causing them to accidentally violate boundaries, they will in turn make the efforts necessary to backtrack on that and show up and support your boundaries in the longer term. In the case of a narcissist, you would see something completely different. Not only does this person not respect your boundaries, but if you do try to reinforce your boundaries, they will get angry. They will often gaslight that you even had a boundary violation or challenge you on why you even need boundaries, perhaps taking personal offense or blaming and shaming you in an attempt to make you feel guilty for having boundaries. And this is a really important red flag because, of course, this devaluation stage that often occurs after the love bombing can be very painful and something that we want to exit out of before it even begins to happen. So beyond these three factors, here's what a relationship should actually look like when you're getting to know somebody, particularly in the case of secure attachment. I just wanted to pop in here and let you know we are doing a 7-day free trial to the All Access Membership Pass at PDS, which means you get access to literally everything inside of the school. And this includes the 4 live webinars I do with our students every single week. And on top of that, you get access to all of our different courses. We have over 55 different courses on relationships, communication, boundaries, emotional mastery, guilt and shame, learning your needs, so many different facets that are really important to master our lives and feel really good about our lives going forward. And last but not least, there's a daily community event. We have trained facilitators and coaches who are in there doing that work, showing up to support you on your journey every single day. Please join me on the other side. Come check it out. See if it's a fit for you. I'd love to see you there. Go ahead and sign up by clicking the link in the description box below. Securely attached people do 4 major things when dating, and they do these 4 things very effectively. Number 1, they go into the experience of dating with a lot of intention. They know what they want and they know what they're looking for. Number 2, they will then vet. They won't just be attracted to somebody and jump into something and see where it goes. They know what they're looking for, and they'll ask questions to find out if you are, in fact, a fit. But when they vet, they do this on a 2-way street. They will not only vet to see if you are a good fit for them, but they will come to be vulnerable and open and share about themselves so that you can vet and find out if they are a good fit for you. They're very mindful and respectful about this process. Number 3, securely attached people will communicate their needs early on. And number 4, they will be very transparent and willing to work through differences on the way to the power struggle stage, whether that's a difference in needs, expectations, or a combination of the two. So what we want to see here is how you can make sure you do not fall victim to love bombing by better understanding exactly what it is, and make sure that if love bombing does happen, you're able to vet what is really going on, perhaps getting yourself and this person, if their love bombing is just coming from a place of innocence, into a space where they can have more realistic and reasonable expectations of you. And in turn, if you can really monitor those 4 major pieces that securely attached individuals do differently when dating, and insert some of those into your dating experience, or be checking in to see if somebody else is doing that, those can be a powerful North Star, or essentially compass to follow, to ensure that you have more success when dating. So that is it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed this topic. I hope it gave you some insight into love bombing. If you're enjoying this channel, please subscribe. Please hit the thumbs up button or consider sharing with somebody that this might be meaningful to. And thank you so much for stopping by and for watching.